What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Build Your Own House series. Today, we're gonna run through the house, give you guys an update, see what we got going on here. I have been slacking a little bit on getting footage for you guys. Probably gonna offend some tradespeople here, but this is kind of what I call the boring phase of building a house, because you're not really seeing like anything transformative going on, like when you're doing framing or once we start doing siding or stone or drywall going up, right? You're seeing significant changes in the way a house looks. Right now, during this phase of HVAC, which you guys saw in the last video, and electrical, right? If I run you guys through, you're gonna see some boxes in the wall and some wires running through the studs, and it's not super exciting. I struggle getting footage because I don't wanna just bore you guys with walking through and having 2 minutes of blah. But we've got some decent changes going on here. Sorry, I think the sun got us there. You'll see behind me here in the garage, we have some insulation starting to go in, which means our electrical is done. So we have a panel. You guys see we actually have an extension cord plugged into the wall. That's because, oh, there's a boss lady. You guys haven't heard me talk about rain in a while. We had an F2 and an F3 tornado on the ground the same time a week ago with torrential rains. And then luckily where we're at, we missed the tornado by a couple miles. But then the other day we got another absolute, like, couple inches of rain in the matter of an hour. So we've rolled a little bit of mud into the neighbor's yard. So she's doing some work cleaning that out. But here's the big thing. We have a meter, which means we have power. So we are self-sufficient. We don't need to be plugged into the neighbor's house anymore. We don't need to run generators and make all the ruckus. So we've got some outlets in the house, and our electrician does a good job hooking us up so we have power on every level. So we have a live outlet in the garage. We have a live outlet in the basement so the sump pump can have a place to be plugged in and run. Then we have a live outlet on the main floor over in the powder room. And then in the bathroom upstairs, either the bathroom or laundry, I forget which, we have a live outlet up there. That way, no matter what floor you're working on, you can have power. So when I came out to the site yesterday, my intention was to shoot this video then, so I can show you guys what we do in preparation of insulation. I got out to the job site. It was already like 7:30 last night, and I forgot my camera and my mic at home. So I said, you know what, I'll run out today and shoot the video, because normally they come through, the insulation guys come through and do all their air sealing first. They don't usually jump right into putting the insulation in. So like, a little bit of air sealing will be done, but I'll still be able to show you guys everything we do in prep. Walk in today and they started with a little bit of air sealing, but they did start putting insulation in today, which, right, no big deal. There's just gonna be some insulation in the walls while I'm showing you guys some stuff. So one of the big things you'll notice, I mean, our garbage cans are getting full. We gotta go dump those, and this little mess here is me with my stuff. The floors, clean, right? One of the big things that we do before insulation comes in, once electrician is done, we clean the whole house top to bottom, not just sweep up the floors. We actually take shop vacs and we will go through and we vacuum every single wall cavity out in the house, all the way into the corners, around. We vacuum everything out because we want the wall cavities where the insulation is going to be spotless clean. We don't want a bunch of sawdust left behind that gets buried in the insulation. Does it matter? I don't know, but it matters to me. It just feels like that's the right way to do it. So that's what we do. It takes some time, but it's not like it's hard labor, right? You've got a vacuum running and you sweep and you pick all the stuff up, and it just makes a cleaner, happier job site as well. So you guys heard me mention air sealing. So to give you guys an example, there's a couple things that we do. This is a must, right? You have to insulate between the window and the wall, and it's gotta be an expanding foam. And actually it looks like they were kind of running out as they were doing this one. It's not all the way flush, and we've got a couple gaps here. So they'll come through and they'll finish this when they're back tomorrow. But part of air sealing as well for us, when you've got, you know, your header with your jacks and your king stud, it's very possible to get air leakage through these the little gaps that you can get as wood, you know, swells and shrinks with seasons. You can get air infiltration through there, right? That's not ideal. So what we'll do is everywhere where there's a doubled up 2x, these will all get caulked, right? So we'll caulk this whole seam all the way down. That, where there's a doubler there, that gets caulked, right? These are gonna get caulked all the way top to bottom. So anywhere on an exterior wall, I should preface that, on an exterior wall, all of those double and triple joists are all gonna get caulk between the seam to stop our air infiltration. I'm gonna sidetrack since I'm walking back into the kitchen area here. We told you guys in the past about doing blocking for cabinets. So that is why my saw is set up here, because everywhere that we have an upper cabinet, you guys will see, we have a block at the bottom and the top, blocks, blocks, blocks all around, blocks, blocking up there, blocking here. There's a refrigerator here, so we don't need blocking. That's gonna be a pantry door, don't need blocking, but then we're back to upper cabinets and lower cabinets here, so we run blocking here, blocking there. And to let you know how we decide where to put the blocking, we know how thick the flooring is going to be, we know how tall our base cabinets are, we know how thick the countertop's gonna be, we know how much space we want from the countertop to the bottom of the upper cabinets, and then what we'll do is we set this so the bottom lip of it is just below the cabinet. So we have a very wide spot to land our screws for the cabinets, and you're not relying on landing just on a stud to get your cabinets mounted. So you would also know how tall your upper cabinet is. So for instance, if you had 42-inch uppers, you would know if you're setting your bottom there, that you're gonna need another board at 42 inches up, and you would set it so the top's just a little bit above, and then the rest of it's down. But this is actually set up for 42s stacked with 18s for 60s. So what we did is we set our lower where it needs to be, and then we set the 42 so the top of the cabinet is right in the middle of that board, and then the bottom of the upper will have a place to screw in. So instead of just putting that in our normal spot, we kind of raised it up about 2 inches. Cabinet installer is going to thank you for doing backing. And it's not something you even need to pay somebody to do. Spend a few hours if you have a chop saw and screw gun and some screws, and just run around and make their lives easier. We still need to do the backers for all of our towel rods and toilet paper holders and all those things in the bathroom. I just haven't had time. Right? This was a last weekend project that we did. And the reason we wanted to hurry up and do that is so they were done before insulation. So we weren't fighting to get the insulation out of the way and get the staples removed to get our boards in. It just made our life a little bit easier. And you're probably wondering, as I'm showing these backings, there's like these little coils of wire. What in the world is that? Well, that's our low voltage wire for our under cabinet lighting, right? We're gonna do continuous onboard lighting on the bottom of the cabinets. So we kind of need to have our low voltage wires for that. So if you're wondering why we have like a wire here and then another wire there and another wire there, because if we tie into our LEDs here with that wire, we don't have a good way to tie into the next bank of cabinets just from the LED to the next LED. So you have to have a bridge of wires that kind of jump all of your big gaps, right? Like this wire will feed this bank of cabinets, and then it can't go any further because of windows. So then you have this wire here to put lights on that cabinet. So as we're talking about that, that makes me realize we are actually missing the wire for this bank of cabinets, right? Because we're gonna have a big hood here, then we have a cabinet and a cabinet, which are both going to need wires. So we gotta get those added. And then this is another set of cabinets that still needs a wire. And then you come all the way down here, and we have another bank of cabinets here that needs a wire. So just got a couple more low voltage wires to run to make sure all of our cabinets have got underlighting, because it would kind of look strange with an L of your kitchen having lighting and then missing a few spots. So no big deal, easy to add. Probably get that taken care of this weekend while we're out here. Just a pinch on the electrical side. Say we have 8 cans we're running in the kitchen, and then we'll have 2 pendants that drop down over the island. And then we're running 8 more cans in the great room with a ceiling fan there. And then we have a box here for an undetermined light fixture. Might do a light fixture there, might do another fan there, not entirely certain. We had it figured out to be a light fixture. If you had a table going, between the kitchen and your living room, We kind of made the island a little bit bigger, and it's gonna kind of creep this way further than was originally designed. So that ends up being one of those like on the fly deals that we figure out, you know, it happens. All right, and we got 4 big cans in this guy. And I'm a fan of putting a bunch of can lights in houses. I'd rather have too many and then put everything on a dimmer, right? So you can control the lighting than have a really dark house. I've been in a lot of spec houses that have like 4 can lights in a huge living room, and 4 can lights in a kitchen, no can lights in bedrooms, and they only have the little light on the ceiling fan. That makes for a very dark bedroom. So at a minimum, we put 4 cans in every single bedroom, in any office or like flex spaces like that front room is. We did one spec house. You can go back a few years on the channel and see, it was our Winterberry house. I think we ended up with 154 can lights in that house. It was a little overkill, but in that house, we had a mixture of 4-inch and 6-inch, because in the kitchen, we went with like a modern European style cabinet. So we wanted the smaller fixture. So the kitchen had a ton of can lights since they were small. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of cans. They're clean and they're so easy to put in right now. And they're not so easy to put in later after the fact. But we do still have some areas that we like to put light fixtures, right, for like statement pieces. So kind of with this big double window, we're gonna have a chandelier that hangs down from there. And since it's such like a tall, big space here, and then we'll have another fixture hanging down from this guy. It's gonna be another tall fixture. You're not gonna see it much from the street because the way the roof's designed and where that window's at, but it'll look really cool in here. And we actually have all of the fixtures picked out for this house, except for this guy. We were waiting until it was framed to see how this kind of all looked to figure out what kind of fixture is gonna work best for us. So let's hop upstairs real quick and show you guys what we got cooking up there. It's gonna be a lot of the same, right? This is kind of touches on my statement when we started this video, is this phase of construction can be a little bit boring because you're not seeing a whole lot change and everything just kind of the same thing over and over again, but nice, clean, and you'll see again, all of the stud bays completely vacuumed out and absolutely spotless. One of the other things I want to call out while we're up here, so you'll notice that we've got foam here around this wire, but you don't have foam around this wire, or that guy, or that guy, or that guy. And why is that? That's kind of something we talked about on a prior video, which is fire stop. So since that hole gets drilled through the second floor down into the floor below, you don't want to have an open passage for fire to come up. So every protrusion that goes from the second floor down to the first floor gets fire sealed like that. So whether it's a low voltage line, like a coax or a Cat 6, or it's a regular 110, or if it's a gas pipe or a cold water line, hot water line, it does not matter. Those have to be sealed if they're protruding through the floor system from your second story down to your first story. And then same story, if it's going from your first story down to your basement, you got to fire block it all. It's how life goes, right? So you'll see same thing. Those are all sealed around. That pipe's all sealed around. That wire is sealed. That wire is sealed. Both of those pipes are sealed. All of our drains are sealed, and they're still not done yet, right? Because they still have to seal that guy. They got to seal those guys. All right, again, today was Insulator's first day out. They'll have the house for 4 days. So there's still a fair amount of work left to be done here. And today is Friday. So we have the house planned to stock with drywall for next Friday. So I'm not really gonna have a lot to show you guys next week with changes that are going on here. So what I'm probably gonna do is finally shoot a video for you guys back in the office, which I know those are super boring, but I think it's some info you guys need. I wanna show you guys how we do our requests for bids, and kind of what that looks like from our end, some stuff you can expect to see if you're building your own house, and just kind of show you guys some behind the scenes, right? It's some of the stuff that just has to be done with construction unless you're crazy and you don't bid anything out and you just start building a house with no idea what it's gonna cost you. I don't recommend that. It's a bad time. Do not do it. So I mentioned earlier, we still have to do backers for our towel bars and our toilet paper holders because, right, what are the odds that when you get a towel bar that you're gonna land on that stud and that stud, or that stud and that stud? It's a very small chance. And to be fair, We've never put towel bar backers in before. It's something we're gonna add to this build and moving forward, because we ended up putting towel rods in the last house and having to use anchors in a lot of places. And it's not ideal. So to make everybody's life easier, whether it's us putting towel bars in before we sell the house, or if it's for the future homeowners that buy the spec house, we want them to have a good place that's easy to mount towel bars, and it costs us next to nothing to do because we have a bunch of extra lumber and screws are dirt cheap. But as I'm standing up here and we're looking at that, I see that I got a bit of a stud that took a little zigzag there at the knot, which happens sometimes. So no, even if we don't put a towel bar there, if we decide the towel bars go there, I'm going to be adding another one there to straighten that board out, make the drywaller's life a little easier. You don't want to have a bunch of wiggly boards all over, or there's a higher probability your drywall guys can be missing a couple studs with screws, which leads to cracks in drywall later down the road. Just easier to straighten studs out now at this point while everything's still wide open. So as always, guys, we appreciate you tuning into these videos. If you do us a huge favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below and we will do our absolute best to get you guys an answer. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody who does. I really do appreciate the feedback that you guys give, as well as questions, right? So sometimes we get good ideas from people in the comments. They say, hey, have you thought about trying this? Hey, have you thought about trying that? Or have you heard about this product? And I am always looking to learn better ways to do what we're doing, right? Is there a better product than what we're using? Is there a better practice than what we're doing? Nobody's perfect. We are far from perfect, right? I've only been doing this for 7 years now. If I thought that I knew everything and I didn't need people's input at this point, I would be completely full of doo-doo, as would anybody at that point. People who think they know everything typically know the least. I'm acutely aware of how little I do know, so I really do appreciate when you guys make suggestions and recommendations in the comment. So we'll see you on the next episode.